Hi, today I'm going to be making this bucket style Chicago Cubs logo hat. I only had a small scrap of this Cubs fabric and all I could make out of it was a hat. So I figured I'd just use the front logo and then I'd make the rest of the hat in white. Since I didn't have any matching blue fabric, I had a darker blue and that's not really the Cubs color, so I decided to use white. I have isolated the design that I want to use from the logos and I've cut out the first panel. I placed this panel on top of the white and that's what I use as a pattern to cut the rest out. These are all 100% cotton fabrics. And so I used a blue Sharpie to trace the pattern onto the hat. And then that's why you see the blue lines, and I'm cutting out here the hat, the white fabric. Okay, this hat requires 4 pieces and it's lined, and so I cut 8 pieces of the white and 1 piece of the blue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use white as a liner for the front, the blue section, and to reinforce it and to give it more shape and body, I'm using a sandwich of 2 white and 1 blue fabric. So the top layer is the blue logo, and then I have 1 layer under that, which is, I'm considering that as an underlining, and then I have the lining. So that blue logo that I'm cutting out right now, that is only 3 pieces. The rest of the hat is 2 pieces. I've got the top of the hat and then I have the lining of the hat. And when I say pieces, I mean panels, not pieces. That white part, that's like right there by the tip, that's part of the selvage and it won't show up in the rest of the, when I turn it over and sew it, it won't show up. So that's why I don't mind having that little section of white there, because that is the selvage. Fortunately, I was able to cut this hat on the grain because the logo that I'm using right there, the lettering, that was actually on grain. So it's kind of a tossed print of the Chicago Cubs logos and baseballs and the name. So here I'm showing you a panel that I've cut out. This is one of the 8 and I'm just using this, treating it as 1 piece of fabric. So this is the underlining. So now what I'm going to do is treat this as 1 piece, the blue on top, or rather under this panel, and then the white that you're looking at, that's going to be treated as 1 piece of fabric. And then when I go to sew the other side of the white panel, then I will just sew it as I regularly do. And then when I flip it over and add the lining, what happens is it's a little bit thicker than the rest of the hat, but that's what I want. I want it to give it a crisp, clean look. And this is what I'm talking about. This is the same piece, flipped right side up. So now I'll just take a piece of white and stitch it on top of that, and that will make 2 panels of the 4 that I need. Okay, and here I am stitching it. I'm putting, there's a sandwich of the white on top, the blue in the middle, and then another layer of white underneath. So the part that you're looking at, that's the other side of the hat. The left or the right. Oh, so I guess when you're wearing it, it would be to the wearer's right. Okay, and so this is the first sandwich, and what I've done here is I've clipped the notches into the top portion of the hat, and this is to give it a nice smooth finish when you turn it inside out. And then right here on the inner curve, that's where I just clip it. So you have, depending on the direction of the curve, you want to clip it differently. The next step is to press the hat. So since it's on curves, I'm using a sleeve roll. I would normally use a tailor's hand, but because this is a child's hat, I'm using a sleeve roll for those tighter curves. And I am using steam. This is 100% cotton. I have a cotton setting with steam in the iron. And so once I get those curves pressed out, then I can go ahead and add the lining to it. And I've pinned the lining to the top of the hat, the body of the hat. And all I'm doing is I'm putting one pin at each seam. And that's all you really need. And then once I do that, I stitch around the perimeter of the hat. And here I am. Make sure to leave an opening. I left my opening about 2 inches wide, and it's probably about the size of one of the panels, the width of the panel. And that's enough to turn the hat inside out. So once I've stitched around the perimeter of the hat, and I've left that 2-inch opening right there, then what I need to do is cut closely to the stitching line, because when I flip the hat over, especially since this is a white fabric, it's pretty sheer. You can see on the other side, so we want it to look neat. So here I flip the hat inside out, and this is basically what it looks like. It's not done yet, it's almost done. Now around the logo of the hat, that's where I just stitch on either side, kind of a stitch in the ditch to make it look sturdier, firmer, and cleaner. And there's a hat. Again, this is a child size, but the same process to make any size hat. Alright, thanks for watching, and please comment, like, subscribe.